peace. Trying to boost my subscribers, I'm trying to maintain the vision. People that know me closest live different than what they show me. It's hard to feel like they know me when I'm just scrolling through images. Truth be told, I feel pain, but I'm on the pinnacle. Been chasing this music thing for a minute though. Know some good people that never see success. And here I am sitting worried about show appearances.
Hello, everyone. I'm Angeline, and she's Resa, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 116 of With the Quickness.
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, indeed. Today, we're going to share our takeaways from the October 16, 2022 sermon given at First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens in Somerset, New Jersey, and a past sermon given at Apostolic Baptist Church, which is located in New York, New York. So, Resa, what was your takeaways from First Baptist this morning?
So in order to work through your traumas, you have to look at the embedded patterns in your life.
Okay. My big takeaway was God wants you to walk with healed companions. And so now going over to Apostolic Baptist Church, what was your big takeaway from Dr. Neichelle Guidry?
We must be honest about the conditions of the church, and the toxicity must be healed.
Okay. My big takeaway was God will restore your goals and dreams if you have faith. There's no waste when it comes to God. So we're going to get more into those sermons a little later in the show. But right now, we're going to go to Resa's playlist for the new season. This is Season 2, Resa, a brand new playlist. How do you feel about that?
Are we ready? It's time.
We narrowed it down to one song. This is Song of the Week, currently featured on With the Quickness Spotify playlist.
I feel excited. I was working on it a little bit yesterday. So we have about like 11 songs on the Season 2 playlist. But of course, there will be more added on throughout the season.
Okay, so who is the beautiful artist or handsome artist you want to kick us off with this season in October?
So of course, I had to kick off Season 2 with my girlfriend, Fantasia. So she had a song out called The Holy Ghost. It's from her 2019 album called Sketchbook. Basically, the song, she talks about how she persevered through the different obstacles that she went through. For those of you that don't know, Fantasia came on the scene by being the 3rd winner of American Idol. And also she will be starring in the musical of The Color Purple, which will be on film soon because they just finished wrapping. So I'm very excited about seeing her play Sally in the musical adaptation of The Color Purple.
Wow, that's a big role. And for to have another screen adaptation. It's not on Broadway. It's going to be on the big screen again.
Right. So they're taking the Broadway version and putting it in the movies. So now it's going to be like the musical version of Color Purple.
Oh, that's so nice. You know what? Because I always wanted to go on Broadway and see it, but you know, with COVID and everything, it's really hard to want to go and be in a crowded theater. Right. Now that everything is safe and you can do it, our lives are busy. Because for me, school started, you know, and for you, you're working, you know, and you're dealing with a bunch of staffing issues where you're at. So it's like everyone's like less of a group of staffers. Even in my office, like we're all trying to just hands on deck. So it's hard to make plans to go all the way to New York, even though we're so close right here in Central Jersey.
Right. So I'm very excited about this musical adaptation of The Color Purple because it's going to have her in it. It's going to have Haley from Chloe and Haley. I love her. She's in it. And it has Danielle Brooks from Orange is the New Black. She's in it as well. So a lot of people that were in the Broadway version are also going to be in the musical version. So I'm super excited.
Nice. Sounds great. So this song, The Holy Ghost, what made you decide to pick it? Well, what does she speak about in the song exactly?
So as I mentioned before, so she talks about how she's been able to persevere like different obstacles in her life. And I like the fact that the song, again, doesn't sound like your typical like gospel song. At first, I thought it was a club song, but it is like a praise and worship song about how, you know, you can push through with the help of the Holy Ghost.
So that means the musicians, I'm sorry, not magicians, but the musicians on the track must be outstanding for you to think it was something you would hear, you know, in a club or on an R&B station. So it still has her R&B roots, I guess, in it, right?
Yes, it definitely does. Well, technically, she started singing in the church, so she was because for those of you that don't also know too, her cousins are Casey and JoJo from Jodeci. So
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah,
she is related to them.
Yeah. So like they actually started singing in the church. So for a while, she sang in the church, but then she kind of like veered away from it because she didn't want to be like that church girl anymore. And then she got into secular music, but as she has gotten older, she's come back around to incorporate gospel music in her albums.
I think it's interesting how a lot of singers start off in church and then they kind of break away some, but those things that you're taught in your youth, you always come back to. Whitney came back to the church strong. You said Fantasia's on her, right? She made her circle from being in church to being out in secular and slowly doing a couple songs and stuff back in. So you know what I'm leading up to. All I need is for Mariah to come back around and give me a gospel album.
Listen, she will do it right now. She is, living her life and getting ready for Christmas because people are already asking her about Christmas and she's telling her not yet. So she is working on it.
Yeah, because right now it's October 16th for us at the season premiere. So she's like, every time it gets closer and closer to November, we start getting the Mariah-itis. That's not a word. That's a word I just made up. And if you want to make it a word, I'm happy that it originated here. The Mariah-itis needs to happen. Christmas time is not Christmas without her. Do you ever figure out what happened to the whole Queen of Christmas thing? We gotta look into that, don't we, to see how it got solved.
It's actually, to me it's solved, but I guess legally it's not because they're still going back and forth with the other two parties. To me, to be honest, I look at Mariah as the Queen of Christmas because again, Christmas comes and I know she's going to come through with Santa and everything else. I don't know why it even has to be up for debate, because if we were to do like a Billy on the street type of questionnaire and ask people on the street, like, who is the Queen of Christmas? If they didn't say Kris Kringle's wife, then they would say Mariah Carey. I know that for a fact. They would.
You might have a very strong point, Resa, very strong point. Now, for those that are interested in Resa's playlist, please go to our website where the playlist is prominent, and you can actually see the songs for season 2, and Fantasia's song will be listed there. I believe there's a video for the song because it was a song that was released a while back, right?
Well, this was released in 2019. I don't believe there was a video for it because it was just one of her I don't think there was.
But you know what? Even if there isn't, I'm sure we could probably find a lyric video or something like that we could put on our site that the label might have put up for her. And we can actually have people take a listen to it and they can add it to their own Spotify list, or they can go to your Spotify list and listen to it in its entirety. Exactly. So if you have something that you would like Resa to listen to, they can just email Resa at resa@withquickness.com. Take out the when you email her, just resa@withquickness.com. And you can tell her about what would be a great song to be featured on our podcast. Thanks so much, Resa.
You're welcome.
All right, now let's go on to the bulk of our show. Let's go first to the Sunday service of First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens in Somerset, New Jersey. It began with the praise and worship singers and musicians setting the tone in the sanctuary. And Reverend Dr. Quick, he introduced October's iPressMyWorship theme again. Now, he's been doing it all month, but we're coming back for our season premiere like in mid-month. And so that's the theme he's been having the whole church dedicate. We have this real I press my ... theme going on each month, right? So ours is I Press My Worship. So Resa, what's your favorite way to worship?
Honestly, through music. Like I'll listen to like different gospel infused music. So that's how I like to worship, to be honest.
Yeah, mine is listening and singing along with music. I'm not really one of those that gets up like a praise dancer and starts dancing. I mean, I can get hit with a good beat and, clap my hands, tap my feet, move my shoulders a little bit.
Oh, goodness.
I'm not getting out a ribbon or a tambourine, but I might get out a tambourine at the revival because Pastor Quick also talked about that. They're going to be a revival at FBCLG coming up in another week or so.
Yes.
On the weekend. It's going to be a tent in the parking lot. They might have heaters and everything.
All I'm thinking about, because anyone from Jersey knows this, or anyone from the East Coast knows this. when it's closer to Halloween, that temperature drops. Okay.
Yeah.
And that little like brisk of air is not a brisk, it's like a gust because it's like a 20-degree difference. And
it's like it comes straight from Michigan. You're right. It feels like that, right?
Like, yeah, it's like I don't care what type of heater you have. The minute that wind hits me, I'm like, I don't know. It's like, kids, I love you, but I don't know about the tent. But it depends.
But it's okay because if it's really cold, people can do like they've done in the past. You go to your car, you get warmed up, and you take turns. I'm gonna go to my car right now. I'll tag team. When you come back to the car, I'll go back over there. But I think he's right. The heaters, they get the right size heaters. I've seen people in Jersey do like weddings and events with nice heaters in the tents, and you feel pretty good. You know, it's a lot of electricity. I think the carbon footprint going to be a little intense. I do worry about that.
Yeah, I was going to say the last wedding that I went to that was in a tent, I'm pretty sure I spent the majority of the time in the house because the AC was on. And the tent can only do so much. So
we had the same thing happen at Rutgers. We had Miller's Rentals have a nice big tent up for the president. And, you know, we had heaters going. We were all still in our coats and we all were still very cold because the flaps in the tent, some of them have to be open for people to go in, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And that's where the wind comes in.
Right. So when that gust comes through from Michigan, it's like, hello. And you're like, okay, I don't want to get sick.
Yeah, it does depend on what the weather. Let's pray that it'd be very nice weather. Yes. Very nice weather. Yes. Okay. Pastor Quick talked about 2 babies being dedicated this Sunday, and he acknowledged that his mother's birthday. The church acknowledged his mother, Brenda Hawkins' upcoming birthday. They gave her some flowers. And Deacon Jones was highlighted in the iPressMyWorship segment. Deacon Jones is one of the first deacons, one of the first worship singers that made me cry at First Baptist. I used to go to the 7 a.m. service, right, in the smaller chapel. And it's something about the way he sings early in the morning that reminds me of, your great grandparents. Mm-hmm. And so he was singing like he had been through some stuff on one of these songs, like the family. He's singing like the family has been through some stuff, but we're still here kind of lyrics. Mm-hmm. And I just boohooed. I thought about my grandfather and grandmother, and I just boohooed because they had been through so much raising their family, you know, and just surviving. And they lived in Florida. And there was a lot of discrimination going on at the time when he was raising his family and the Jim Crow laws and all of that stuff. So he has the kind of voice that takes you back, way back, like cornbread, collard greens back. And James, I really enjoy that. Go ahead, Resa.
I was gonna say like James Earl Jones. Every time I hear his voice, I think like way back in the day because he has like that sultry but like velvety voice.
Velvety, sultry, but also like it has some experience. Like this person went through some stuff. Kind of voice. Right. It's like when you hear Anita Baker or Aretha Franklin sing, even Patti LaBelle, they have this like feeling them when they sing certain notes. It's like, yeah, you've been through some struggle. Yeah, you've been through some stuff. Yeah, he has one of those voices.
Anita Baker singing, caught up in the rapture, gets me every time. I'm just like,
Yeah, true. Now, Pastor Quick also spoke about reaching out and supporting those students that are abroad in other countries that are trying to complete their education, but they might be in a country or a location that is under siege or having a difficult time, and about bringing those young people here to the States to complete their education. Like if you think about the Africans in Ukraine. So Sister Nicole came forward and she talked about the work that's being done with NoirUnited International. And I think it's great that the church is actually partnering up with an organization that's working on actively getting these young people to new schools here. I'm hoping Rutgers becomes one of the schools. And I'm hoping all the New Jersey schools can all take a part, but they're reaching out to all kinds of schools. They even mentioned Morehouse, reaching out to Morehouse and taking in a couple of the students that are looking to continue their education. If you are a person connected to an institute of higher ed, you're a dean, a vice chancellor, or president that wishes to help out, please contact NoirUnited International at NoirUnited.org or First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens at FBCSomerset.com and share your information so that we can help the students as soon as possible. Okay. Now, today was Youth Sunday at First Baptist, and they introduced FYRE. The youth ministry is now called FYRE. It's been reactivated. I feel like the Marvels. When you pick somebody like the Avengers, they've been reactivated.
Right.
They have a new acronym, FYRE. I tried to go to the website recently to figure out what FYRE meant because I missed it. It went too fast, went past me, went right past me because I was writing other stuff, taking notes. And I can't figure out what the acronym FYRE stands for right now. So I'm hoping they update their website.
Yeah, because unfortunately I didn't catch it either myself. So, but FYRE is FYRE. Like, I just don't know.
I hope they have gear. Don't you hope they have some really cool shirts and swag that, the youth are kind of rocking around the church? Like, because, other churches do it. Other church youth organizations have hoodies and shirts and stuff, and they wear them in the activities and do stuff in the community.
You know what? Normally I would be like, yeah, like I'm all about the gear, but because this inflation, there's been a lot of drops as of lately that I've been wanting to buy gear from. And I'm just like, I got bills I got to pay. So I can't buy that.
That's
right
true.
now. So
that's true. But it would be nice if there was some kind of t-shirt and older people can help out and help sponsor a kid and help get shirts. Like if you want to give a shirt to a child, like one of the FYRE shirts, like, even though you don't buy it for you, maybe buy it for somebody youth coming because they're from 5 to 18. I'm like, oh my God, a little 5-year-old wearing a little FYRE shirt. We kind of cute. I want to help design it. They should have like a contest. So people that have, ideas of what it should look like.
Well,
they should have a contest.
But what logo would you put for like FYRE?
That's the thing. It should be a contest. So different people can come up with different logos for the group. And whichever one wins becomes their logo.
Because see, like for me, when I think about like the younger children that are like, obviously, I don't know, 5 to about 12, I would want to put a picture of someone reading the Bible to like a whole bunch of kids.
No. This is 5 to 18.
See,
this is all the youth.
I thought
so. My thing is,
I thought FYRE was like for like the young adult ministry.
It is. Is it the young adult?
That's what I thought it was.
We had 5 to 18 go down to the altar today, and I thought it was that whole group.
Right, but I thought FYRE. I thought, unless I misheard him, I thought FYRE was for like the young adult ministry.
From 12 to 18 is what you're thinking?
Well, I don't know if it's 12 to 18, but he just said
most young adult groups are like the teenagers, like 13 and up or something like that.
See, to me, in my vocabulary, when people say young adult, I think like 16 to about mid-20s.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
So there's a lot of gray area right now. And I'm glad they launched it, but I wish they would have had a video or someone from that's over the ministry get up and say a couple words so it could stay more in our mind exactly what's the age range. Because when they started talking about people had to register their children and stuff, I was thinking that it was a bigger range from 5 to 18 because they're talking about if your child came down to be in the lower sanctuary for worship for the service and they didn't have their proper documentation, that they would have to be returned to their parents. So I was thinking they were talking about little ones too. So you know what? Hopefully they will update their website soon and get us all on the right page of the new FYRE youth ministry. And we'll know exactly the age range FYRE covers and what things they're going to be doing. And maybe they'll even have the leaders speak more about it in the future. So that way we have a better understanding because it's reactivated, but there's a lot of questions. So either the website needs to be updated or the leaders themselves need to come forward and share some word, maybe do a little video or something that can be put on the website that can tell more about it. Yeah. Like a ministry spotlight. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a ministry spotlight video?
That gives me very like actor studio, like, ministry spotlight.
But it's helpful when you want to sign up. Like this is a podcast for new and rededicated Christians, right?
Right.
And if you wanted to join FBCLG and start getting connected to one of the ministries, you want more than just a word like, oh, the hospitality ministry headed by so-and-so. Here's their email. You actually would be nice to have a little video or something that actually shows you some of the stuff that they do. It takes a little work. Don't get me wrong. Everything, if marketing takes work, I think it might be worth it.
I think so because I go off the vibe. Like if the person seems really cool, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to, be part of that.
Yeah, it gives you a better understanding of the flavor of the different ministries, other than people telling you, oh, I love it in choir, because every choir is different, right? And they could have numerous choirs at First Baptist. So something like that would tell us about FYRE, tell us about the different ministries that are going on, might help those that are new and rededicated. And I know some churches do that now. They try to make sure not only your phone number's up there, but some more kind of information is available.
Right.
So All right. Let's go into the sermon that Pastor Quick gave today. It was great having Pastor Quick back. His sermon was called From Messed Up to Blessed Up. Mm-hmm. He referred to Joshua chapter 4, verses 1-7 of the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible. This is where Joshua sets apart 12 men according to the tribes of Israel. Pastor Quick reminded us at the start of his sermon about the words of Langston Hughes by reading his poem, The Negro Speaks of Rivers. Let me see if I can read this for you guys without butchering it up too much. So be patient with me. You know I love it when he gives a little poem.
Of course.
All right. Here's how it goes. I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood in human veins. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I've bathed in the Euphrates when dawns were young. I've built my hut near the Congo, and it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient, dusking rivers. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I think that's a really nice poem. Really nice poem. Okay. And so let's go into a little bit why he would even bring that poem up. I mean, when you think about how things ebb and flow in life, and rivers ebb and flow, you got to also look about how we, as people in the church, there's things that go well and things that aren't going well. And there's things that we need to look at and things that we are trying to hope the tide blows away and no one, actually puts a light on. He said, there are many generations that don't know how great they really are. He said, idiocy shouldn't be applauded. It should be abolished. And voting in our society is more important than ever, which was a good start because when you think about it, right now in the American society, I know this is going international, but in the American society, we've had a bit of turmoil in the last 3 or 4 years. From beginning of COVID on, we've been kind of like almost like a boat without a rudder. We've been tossed to and fro by the waters right now. So it's like we need to get back to, dealing with some of the stuff that is helping us stay stagnant and not propelling us forward. Pastor Quick said transgenerational traumas exist in the church and they need to be tackled. And then he kind of listed a couple of things. He said, we can't stay victims because we have power within us. He said addictions, school to prison pipelines, the victim mentality, they were all passed down in our families and they need to be addressed in our communities. What did you feel about that? Is there a lot of toxicity that's been passed down that you think that we're kind of as people of color not really looking at because we're just out here surviving, Resa?
I definitely think there's transgenerational curses or trauma. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like I definitely feel like once the pandemic hit and people really had to just sit there and deal with themselves, because I could even speak for myself. Like I had a moment where I really just sat there and I physically had to be still and I couldn't do anything else. So then when you have all this time and you realize like, oh my gosh, like there are some things that I have not addressed and it's now coming up now. At first, it can feel very overwhelming because for the longest time, some people have run from it. Some people have, distracted themselves from it by doing other things, whatever. But when you really sit there and you're like, oh, wow, I have some issues that I need to address. And, once you take the time to go find a therapist and you actually unpack all of that, 9 times out of 10, it is transgenerational trauma that has been carried down to you. And once you know that and you learn that, it's really up to you to figure out, okay, do you want to continue that or do you want to, do you want to end it? And if you want to end it, if you want it to end with you, that takes a lot of work to basically stop whatever has transpired, about to transpire, so it doesn't go on to anyone else that's going to come through the bloodline.
So you're so right. You're so right. He said, there's like a crippling toxic secrets are within our homes and they have to be exercised. Like we can't just keep covering them up and putting them in the back room and not dealing with it or not thinking about it. Like there used to be a saying that a lot of older people would say down south, oh, the past is the past. Right. Meaning don't even worry about addressing it or talking about it. We're moving forward. That doesn't help anything, especially if the past is triggering things in the future. It could be really crippling. He also said children are watching and learning from us. So we need to break the mental change over our minds. Just yesterday, we were on our way to the store. Remember, Resa, we were listening to Hello Hubby. The podcast came back with Jessica Reedy. And we were so happy that she came back on the scene. I mean, she had been missing for like a year, taking care of her life and doing other things. And she had talked about how her triggers and how she thought she had some things dealt with already. And that's the singer that sings the song Better. She said, I figured I was good. I was healed. That she could still be around certain people and do certain things and she'd be just fine. But then she found out that just because you think something has been exercised and dealt with because you know it exists doesn't mean you really let God look at it and heal you from that, from having certain responses to things. So how do you feel about the things that children are learning just being around the adults in the church or in their family?
I definitely think even though, adults say, do as I say and not as I, not as you see, like more times than not, like, even though you may have said, such and such, the kid is going to do whatever they say. That's just the reality of what it is. Like you can say, what you would like them to do, but if you're not doing it themselves, they're just going to follow what they say. So
exactly,
which is sometimes unfortunate.
Yeah. Pastor Quick says, to heal, we need to start with transmitting resilience. That means stop keeping secrets, tell our story, and try to break some patterns. He said we need to work through our trauma. Like you said, therapy is very important. He went on to say we need to look at the embedded patterns in our life, like the generational changes that come after you do a life review and do some life work. And then we need to cultivate empathy towards our own image and our likeness. Like when we see ourselves in someone else or they're doing something similar to what we do, don't say to yourself, oh man, he makes me sick, she makes me sick, when they're actually doing something in a way that it's only triggering you because it's kind of similar to something that you've done in the past, Right.
And I just had something like that happen to me yesterday, believe it or not. So,
really?
Yeah. I had one of my really close friends, like we were having a conversation and I'm not going to really disclose what was discussed, but basically what she had did was something that I used to do where you pretty much overthink and kind of like self-sabotage. And then when we got to the root of why she was feeling the way that she felt, it was because she was triggered. And then we talked about it and we got through it, but it was quite an eye-opening thing for me because I was just like, I've been here before. This feels familiar because I used to do this. And it wasn't until like I saw someone else going through it that I was like, I knew how to address it, but then I also knew how to give her grace about it because I feel like more times than not, at least for myself, I'm very hard on myself. And sometimes I feel like I need to get things right the first time. So when I do mess up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't know, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, it's just taking that pressure off of yourself and allowing yourself grace. And, if you're able to go see someone and talk about it, go see someone and talk about it.
The beautiful thing, you're so right. And the beautiful thing about triggers is that it tells you that you're still a work in progress. You're not, all of us are working in progress. And just because because you have knowledge about yourself and your areas, doesn't mean that, you're still, there's not something that is completely healed yet. Because if somebody can make you feel a certain way and take you out of your character over something and make you act like you did in the past, right? Then that means God is trying to show you didn't learn the lesson. The beautiful thing about Jessica Reedy yesterday, when we were watching the season 1 of Hello Hubby, is when she said, I thought I was good, but God said, no, you didn't finish the class. You got to take that class all over again. Because every time she thought she was okay and she was doing well, God would keep presenting the same thing. And people would say, in my generation and older, oh, things happen in cycles. She said, that's not true. And she's absolutely right. That's not true. Sometimes God just keeps giving you the freaking lesson.
Yeah.
You're going to get the lesson this time, didn't pass it. Got to give it to you again. It's like being in college and to graduate, you need a certain course to graduate, but you're just not doing it. Like the first time you took it, you got an F. Oh my gosh, you got an F. Well, let me take it again. Get a D. Man, I need at least C or better because it's a class for your major or a class for your minor. So you have to do C or better in it in order to graduate. You end up telling yourself, instead of taking this class after failing it twice, is there another class I can replace it with? And you go to the department, try to get a special permission number to take another class. And the person in the department says, I'm sorry, it's a core course. You have to take it. And you're like, huh? I can't replace it with this one. I like this one right here. They'll go, no, sorry, it's a core course. Unless you want to change your major, you have to take it to graduate.
Of course.
And God does that. God makes you keep taking things over and over until you get it.
Right.
So you get the lesson.
And you know what he also does, which I have experienced numerous times. He may not even use the same people. He'll use different people, but the same lesson. I've had that time and time again. And just when I thought, oh yeah, I got it. I get a pop quiz with a new person, similar situations, but it's like, it's the exact same lesson. And sometimes I get it.
Same energy, right?
And you're just sitting here like, first and foremost, you're like, oh, this feels familiar, but you're not sure why. And then the lesson pops up. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I know what this is. And then more times than not, because even Jessica had said, because for her, she had fell in love with this person. So she couldn't see, she couldn't smell, she couldn't recognize what it was because she was too far into it. So sometimes when your senses are kind of what's the
masked?
Word? Yeah,
they're masked.
Yeah, like when they're masked, you don't always catch the lesson that God is trying to give you or the pop quiz, and it may take you a little bit longer. So I related to her in that sense because again, I'm currently still in my season of like healing and just loving on me, and of course I'll be going to therapy and the new year because that's my resolution. But it was interesting to see someone else say like, yeah, like I've taken this course numerous times. At this point, I have my doctorate, but we just have to be kind to ourselves because even the guy, the producer that she was talking to, because even
Lateris,
she had even said that Lateris had said, excuse me, that when she told him the story, he was kind of upset with her. Because he knew like what she was stepping into, but then she flipped it on him and said, well, you had someone that was toxic in your life for 3 years and mine was only like 6 months. So what's the difference? and he thought about it. And he was like, yeah, I can't judge you because I just went through my own thing for 3 years.
And there's many people in the church that have been through stuff and have drama. And Pastor Quick said in the sermon, don't act all brand new when you guys are here. No, not those exact words, but don't act like you guys have never been out there dealing with stuff and that we have our own history and pattern. Don't act like you've been sitting in these pews the whole time, holier than thou with these young people. Tell them the story, be transparent. I think transparency will help a lot. He also said that the gift of retirement is real. He said, insecure leaders cannot make new leaders. I was like, ooh.
Facts. I know this.
Wow. So like older insecure leaders can make us have a dead church in some ways if they're not willing to give over the reins and like step aside for the new. And I don't think it's like step aside, like put you out the pastor, step aside. I think it's more like step aside and be a resource and be, be a reference for newer to groom and help guide, to be there as called on and as needed, but to let it flow with new blood, I mean, can you put new wine in old skins? It might be better to go buy some new wine. But it's like, at least give someone else a chance to grow in their faith by serving.
Right.
I mean, the president has term limits, the president of the United States. But do the senators and all of them, they can run all the time and keep getting reelected. I don't like that. That needs to change. That's my personal opinion. I think if we had term limits, then people could actually get in with new blood, new ideas, a new kind of synergy can happen every couple of years, and no one can feel like they're entitled to be in a certain place. And entitlement happens not just out in public and not just in our homes, but entitlement also happens in the church. This is my role. That's my position. That's my parking space. It happens.
Not that's my parking space. But sometimes it be like that when you're at certain stores or, you know.
No, but in church it's like that. Sometimes people will look at you like you're on their row. You sitting in my row. That's the beautiful thing about the online community. Shout out to everybody online, is that we ain't got to be fighting about no row seats. We ain't got to be giving no stink eye. We ain't got to look at nobody a certain way because they're sitting in the place that we like to sit in.
But you know what? I'm not even going to lie. I only feel that way when it is snowing outside. And everybody knows what I'm talking about. Okay, so it has just finished snowing. You decide to go outside and shovel out your car, but you have to go to the store really quick. And your parking spot is perfect, like you did it yourself. And someone takes your parking spot, yeah, I'm going to be like rightfully annoyed because I took the time to take the snow out of that parking spot and you decided to come in and just take it.
Yeah.
That's not cool. That's not cool.
I know. And that's why I pick you up more often in the wintertime, so we do our food shopping together, so your car can stay there as long as you want it to stay there.
This is true.
And move it when you need to move it.
And I appreciate that.
Pastor Quick ended his sermon saying that God will address your mess. He will bless you in the midst of your mess. He wants you to walk with healed companions, and he will eventually give you rest in your mess. God is going to be walking with you. I like the part where he said, and this was my takeaway, that he wants you to walk with healed companions. Because just like Jessica showed us in her little story that we listened to this weekend, if you're around certain people that trigger you to go backwards, it's not a healthy thing. Not saying you should shun people that aren't where you're at, but you got to be cautious. You can't say to yourself, I'm no longer a person that's dealing drugs on the street, but yet that's where we find you all the time, on the street with the people that do drugs, you know. Right. You're like, but I ain't selling. I'm just hanging out with my friends. Got it. But can't you hang out with your friends like at a restaurant? You guys go meet and go break some bread, or can't you all go do something, do an activity? Why does that have to be where you were before, and that same mentality and that same energy?
Right. Because that's like, for example, because I had this conversation like months ago with someone, but that's like, again, you're working on yourself. And let's just say we all have that one friend that likes to be, around the water cooler and spread the gossip. And you're just like, I'm not on that bandwidth anymore. I don't want to talk about people. I'm worried about my own stuff. God bless everybody. We wish them well. But it's like, sometimes once you are in a place of healing or you have been healed, I don't want to hear about, so-and-so doing whatever. It's like, I know that's your entertainment. I get mine on TV during my scheduled programs throughout the week, but I don't want to talk about people. Let's talk about things. Let's do that. Let's be more productive.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, because just Tom, and another thing too, when you talk about people, you're talking about your perception of them. You can throw somebody under the bus saying they did this to you and did that, and they're doing this, and you're going just by your interaction with them, not going about everything that might be going on in that person's world. Because a person that's fighting cancer might pull away from their friend group, and their friends all of a sudden are talking nasty. Oh my gosh, she used to always be here and now she's not. But if that person hasn't shared what they're going through, it might look like she's isolated and, said, oh, I don't have time for my friends. When in actuality, she could be fighting for her life.
Right. And one of the things that I have learned time and time again, every single time someone talks about someone to me, to give me like a heads up about who that person is because they had a bad experience, I never have that experience with them. I actually have a better experience because I'm just like, okay, that was for you, but I don't take that on because I want to give everybody a chance, because I would hope if the roles were flipped and that were done to me, someone would give me that same grace and not just take off of like, someone's perception, because you don't know why me and that person may have fallen out. Like, don't take that energy on and think that we got to be beefing for what.
Yeah, grace is important. I think it's a mark of maturity, and I think that's why he said walk with healed companions. Because if you're trying to extend grace to people and you're around people that don't do that, it's harder for you. It really, really is. And children learn what they see. You can't say to your child, oh, you need to give me some grace on that, but you're not giving grace as a parent to anybody in your life, including the child.
Right.
Gotcha. Pastor Quick's sermon From Messed Up to Blessed Up was live streamed on October the 16th, 2022 on the FBC Somerset YouTube channel. When you get a moment, please check it out. Now let's go on to Apostolic Baptist Church. They posted a March 11th, 2022 sermon that we know you're going to enjoy. It was a sermon within their Women's Week 22 3-night revival. The sermon was called Jesus is Still at the Table. The speaker was Reverend Dr. Neichelle R. Guidry. She's the Dean of Chapel and Director of the Wisdom Center at Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia. So she gave this sermon at Apostolic Baptist Church. And that church is headed by Reverend Dr. Calvin Butts III. The scripture she referred to was in Matthew chapter 26, verses 6 through 13 of the New International Version of the Bible. This is where Jesus is on his way to Calvary when a woman with an alabaster box anointed him. In her intro, she spoke of Dr. Guidry spoke of the High on the Hog Netflix documentary. And it shows where Black people took the leftovers that they were given and created very tasty food to consume. She spoke about the importance of the Black table and the Black culture. Have you seen that documentary, High on the Hog? I think I have seen pieces of it.
Honestly, I've never seen it. This is like the first I've ever even heard of it, to be honest. And
I saw pieces of it recently. It was really, really good how they're actually going into our cuisine and telling stories of the Black culture at the same time.
Yeah, because normally, like, I'm big on documentaries, but I haven't heard about that one, but I'll definitely check it out.
Oh, definitely. Now, she said the whole metaphor of the table was very important in her sermon, being welcomed at the table. It triggered some thoughts for me when she was talking about it. She says, we all know what it's like to sit at a table that we've prepared and not sit at a table that we've prepared for other people. Like you do everything to get it right and they're sitting at the table and you're not. Like even if it could be as simple as you're the hostess running around doing everything and everybody's sitting and enjoying, but you're still in the kitchen, right? Or you're at work preparing a conference room for everyone to have to sit there and gather with all the information, but you're not going to be sitting at that table and doing anything, but you're the one preparing everything. Have you ever been in a situation where you're like, man, if I could just get in that room, get that job, get that whatever, and be with those people, life would be better, life would be sweeter?
I will say, yeah, I'm not going to say like the time frame of where, but yeah, I've been there before.
Me too. I've been where I've been like, I want to sit at that table. There's been a lot of titles and stuff I wanted in my career. I was like, yeah, I feel like I earned this. I want to be there. I deserve to be there. Right. And then God goes, not yet. Because if it was time for me, I'd be there, right? God knows everything in his perfect time.
Right. Because I've had that same convo with God. And at that time, it wasn't meant for me to, to take that position. But in the interim, it's like, you just continue to do what you do. You continue to, learn what you need to learn. And whenever a new opportunity arises, you apply for it.
Mm-hmm. Reverend Guidry, she went on to say that the table has a lot of politics. And it reminded me of just our different jobs. That's why I brought up the jobs and the positions, because there are a lot of politics at certain tables. Like some people believe that only men should sit at certain tables. Sometimes even at Thanksgiving, you have the adult table and you have the children's table, right?
Yeah.
She spoke about Simon the leper and Mary of Bethany. I told you in the Bamacy interview I did with you last season that I kind of identified with Mary of Bethany because she was sitting at the feet of Jesus. Just listening to him, that's where she wanted to be. Martha's running around, cleaning up stuff and trying to do stuff. And Mary's like, later for the chores, I'm gonna sit here, the master's here. I'm sitting here, what he has to say, And I like that, to be able to, no matter who you were, you could just sit before his feet and just listen to him, give his sermons, tell his tales. And he wanted to know about you in return. Dr. Guidry went on to say that Mary did her act of service at the table within Simon's home. She was the sister of Martha and Lazarus, right? She said, there are certain people that when they sit at a table, they think about the politics of it. And that a meal itself can be a form of status and power to be at that table consuming, food, right? She goes, think about even the state dinner, like the state dinner for the United States at the White House. It has a bunch of silverware. It's a lot of stuff you got to do. Eating before the Queen in England or now the King. We have a new king in England now. probably the bunch of silverware, a bunch of, protocol that has to happen, a time and to do everything sitting at a real stately dinner like that. So at such tables, she said, nothing kills community like hierarchy. When it came to Jesus, you didn't have a bunch of hierarchy when he sat down and broke bread with the disciples, or when he sat down and talked to anyone, or he's sitting at the well asking for a drink of water. It wasn't about hierarchy. It was about connection for him. So I like that. She said, when Jesus was at the table, he invited everyone to sit with him. He spoke with everyone and made sure everyone that was there was not ignored or discarded, that everyone was seen. I like that. I think that's pretty telling, because in our day and age, some people are not very proactive in being in a conversation. They can be introverts and extroverts in conversations. And you can have two people at a dining room table having a wonderful conversation, and then one person is be sitting there just listening. Jesus made sure everybody took part in the conversation. I like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can say for myself, I'm definitely like, if I don't know you, I'm very painfully shy. So some people might take that as like, I'm trying to be standoffish. I'm not. I'm just like, I'm shy. So I'm trying to figure out like I feel like I'm more like in my head per se. And I guess I'm trying to figure out like who I can go to talk. So normally the person that is like the outgoing person will like talk to me, and I'll talk back, but like it just takes me a second to feel comfortable to be like, oh, personality's here, woo. Because at first I'm just like, I'm nervous. I don't want to I don't want to stutter or say anything stupid. So yeah,
I know the motivational speaker, I call him a leadership speaker sometimes. Simon Sinek, he's the same way. He's like, I do this for a living. I get up, I can talk in front of strangers, but you put me in a dinner party, I'd rather be sitting somewhere just watching people. There's nothing, I don't want to be the center of attention. He's more comfortable just, enjoying himself, watching things, talking to the people that he came with. He doesn't have to be holding, a master of the ring of the circus. He doesn't have to be the ring master in the middle.
Right.
Which some people like that. Some people love the spotlight, love to make everybody laugh and joke and whatever. And other people are like, I'm okay. It was a nice, beautiful dinner party, whatever. Me sitting over here and meeting a couple people rather than holding court in the middle of the floor.
Right. Like, I feel like I used to be like that when I was a kid, but then I got older and I was just like, I don't know, maybe I just got older and I got more self-conscious, but I really do not care to be the center of attention at anyone's party. I'm just like, I'd rather go with a friend that I already like know. So if something does, like, if it is like, okay, everybody here is like pretty much like with their people, at least my friend is here with me, being just talk and, go about it.
Yeah. Dr. Guidry went on to say, Dr. Guidry went on to say that the woman with the alabaster box, she came to Jesus with some very expensive oil and she anointed his head. She could have been any woman performing that act. She said she could have been one of us. And when we sit at the feet of Jesus, our contribution to him could possibly irritate others, but we need to stay focused on our service to him. She said, we must be honest about the condition of the church. It has been toxic. It has some toxicity that needs to be healed. And all of us should feel welcome when we walk through the doors of our church, of any church. We weren't always sitting where we are as disciples of Christ. So we need to extend grace to whomever enters the church seeking a relationship with Jesus. That goes back to what Pastor Quick was saying too. We're not perfect people. We can't act perfect. We can strive for perfection. But we're works in progress. We'll be getting better every day.
Right. Because I feel like the worst thing you can do is try to pretend like you're perfect. I feel like that was me in my 20s. I swear to God. I was trying to pretend like, oh, I have everything together. No. And even like Pastor Quick had said in his sermon, the people that actually pretend that they're perfect, they are the ones that have the most issues. And it's true. It's true.
That's very true. And so at the end of the sermon, Reverend Guidry said, Jesus will restore your goals and dreams if you have faith. There's no waste in God, no wasted sweat, humiliation, pain, or misery. Even though you might see it as waste, God doesn't, because Jesus is still at the table and he can use all of it. So all the struggle you've been through, even the amount of time that went by, all of it might seem like, oh my gosh, I could have been here sooner. I could have done this sooner. If they would have just gave me a seat at the table. he puts you at the table when he thinks it's right. Sometimes there's lessons you have to learn. Sometimes there's people that have to move out. Sometimes it's just, he don't want you at that table. He has plans for you at another table.
Right.
So we just got to definitely let him do things in his perfect timing and continue to work on ourselves. Now, you can view Reverend Dr. Neichelle R. Guidry's March 11th, 2022 sermon, Jesus is Still at the Table, within the Women's Week 2022 3-night revival video of Apostolic Baptist Church on their YouTube channel. So those are the sermons that we listened to today. Let's move on to the screening room, one of my favorite parts of the show, because I like a good Christian-based or faith-based movie. And we're on a new season.
It's time for that weekly movie review in the screening room.
So I tried to find something that was released this year, and I did. I took a movie from the PureFlix catalog. Now, PureFlix is not a sponsor of With the Quickness. Maybe one day they will be, but not right now. And the movie I selected was The Greatest Inheritance. Like I said, it came out in 2022. It was written by Andrea Poleski and John K.D. Graham and Alexandra Bolin. It was directed by John K.D. Graham. And it stars Jaleel White. That name's familiar. He was in Family Matters as Urkel.
Yes, Urkel.
Yes. Mena Servia, Cameron Kelly, Meredith Riley Stewart, Grace Pappas is in it, Michaela Lee, Jeff Schroeder, Leticia Jimenez, Miles Musindran. I might be saying that wrong, Musindran, and others. If I totally butchered all of your names, I'm so sorry. Okay, a brief synopsis. Now, first of all, we totally recommend this movie as good family viewing, okay? The story follows 4 estranged adult siblings, Casey, Carrie, George, and Rachel, who reunite for the memorial of their late mother to claim their inheritance. However, getting their inheritance won't be easy as they think. Their mother has created some challenges, kind of like a game. And these challenges lead to clues that pointing to the location of their mother's will. Like they can't get the will, know the inheritance, until they actually find the will, which includes a deed to her estate, right? So they have to work together to see who will get the greatest inheritance, hence the name. This movie is well-paced, it's playful, it's engaging. It's a very heartwarming type of comedy. The production value is stellar. It's really good. The movie is well cast, and the actors kind of play well with each other. It has very strong Christian and biblical and moral themes and viewpoints. The characters actually quote scriptures in it, and it does talk about the importance of prayer and forgiveness, kindness, grace, like we talked about, community service, and taking care of sick parents. It also talks about using your gifts to serve God's kingdom, which I did like that part. That's kind of important. It's a great movie. It's very entertaining, and the whole family can watch it, not just the young ones. You can also see this film on Amazon Prime and Apple TV. The themes of it are character building, mothers and daughters, it's heartfelt, it's family-oriented adventure, the importance of family, the importance of keeping promises, games, and even death is the themes. We're going to have the trailer on the withthequickness.com website, so you can see the trailer. It's a really good movie. I enjoyed it. I like the fact that the mother was so wise that all the kids were not talking to each other and they're kind of like living their own lives, that she organized a way that they had to work together in order to get their inheritance. That they had to do it together, because some people knew some stuff and some siblings knew other stuff in order to figure out the clues. It was really, really nice. I enjoyed it. So Resa, would you take a look at it if, I bring it up on the screen the next family dinner?
Of course.
Okay, great. So that's the film for this week. I'll have another one next week. Hopefully I can find something, that's more in the lines. Maybe there'll be something in the theaters. The last thing we saw in the theaters while the break happened was The Woman King.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good.
It was really
We saw
good.
that as a family, and I enjoyed myself. Did you enjoy yourself?
I did enjoy myself, even though spoiler alert, it is like very violent. But it was really good though.
It came out the gate with violence, with the fighting. And so of course my husband loved it. And I was like looking through my hands for the first minutes of the film, because even though they were women fighting, those women were brutal when they fought. Real warrior type, gladiator type stuff. It's like the female modern day Gladiator for me. And you know, Gladiator is my favorite movie. Remember I said that last season.
You did.
I think I got to change my movie after watching this. I think The Woman King is now my favorite movie because I actually want to dress up like Viola Davis's character for Halloween, but they haven't. I'm sorry, the outfits that are up there right now, they're not quite it. They look a little too flimsy. They're not the right ones yet. I might have to wait till next season. I don't know, next Halloween.
Yeah, you might have to wait till next Halloween because I know they just had like a Comic-Con convention in New York, and like, you know, people were dressed up as other characters throughout Marvel, but
not that one. Well, that's not a Marvel movie. It's just a regular, you know, movie that was, you know, written and done. But I think it needs to have some costumes because even Eddie Murphy's coming to America. He's not connected to Wakanda, but you know, he had a place in Africa. What was it called? Zamunda?
Yeah, Zamunda.
Or something like that.
Yeah, Zamunda.
People can dress up like him for Halloween, you know? So I'm hoping they'll have the costumes out, you know, if not this year, then next year.
Yeah, they'll probably definitely have it out next year.
And I saw the trailer for Black Panther. Wakanda Forever. I can't wait, Resa.
I already know I'm going to need my box of tissues when I watch that movie. Aww. It's just like, I don't know what, you know what it is, because I'm getting older. I'm not that old. I'm only in my early 30s. But like, I find myself crying now at like the most movies that are not even supposed to be crying about, but I cry about it because everything is like sentimental to me and just whatever.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. But it's supposed to be like, it's really good because I'm sad that the original character that played the original actor that played Black Panther is no longer with us.
Right.
But I'm very happy that the new Black Panther is his sister. I think it's his sister Shuri, because that's how it was in the comic book. The comic book was his sister. Right. So it's not a spoiler, just because I said that to you guys. It's in the comic book. If you read the comic book, the torch gets passed to his sister.
Right.
Now, is that what happens in the movie? I don't know. But Marvel has been known to stay kind of close to different storylines that originated in the original comics.
So, like, the only Marvel movie that I cried in or cried to was The Avengers. I think it was Avengers Civil War, whatever the one that the guy Thanos was in. That was the movie. I'm not gonna say why I cried at it, but I did see it in theater, I think like the day or two after it released.
Wow.
And there were like other people crying, like grown adults, like little kids were crying.
Y'all were looking for tissues.
Like, yeah, Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You was playing. Like, it was not like, you can't do that. So I was crying and I was embarrassed because I was sitting by like these group of kids and I was just like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. Like, I'm over here crying. And I'm just like, I felt bad. So I'm not going to say what happened though, but definitely watch it if you haven't seen The Avengers.
Speaking of kids, we had something new happen in our family.
Yes,
we should share. Shouldn't we share?
We should share. We should share it.
Okay.
Do you want to say it?
Yeah, I kind of want to because okay. I'm a grandma for the 18th time, so I want to share it.
Okay.
The newest grandchild came to the family. Ileana Malika Thomas. She's in the world, and we're very happy about that. Oh my gosh.
Yes,
so now we have a new little person to take to the children's movies. Yes, because she's the youngest grandchild.
I am super excited because, again, I am a Disney kid. So I was all about like the different Disney princesses and things of that sort. So as long as her mom is okay with it, I definitely want to put her on to all of this, all the different Disney princesses. So
I can't wait until she's doing tea parties, when she's old enough to do little tea parties and stuff and wants to get dressed up. I really can't wait. Because I have my own china that's showing all the time in my china cabinet. And I want her to be like, I want my own china grandma. And I'll be like, well, it's not grandma. I don't go by grandma. I don't go by granny. I don't go by Nana, Gigi, none of those.
Why do you say it with such aggression?
Because all those people mean other people in my life. Like Nana's your mom. Grandma's my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? So I go by Grana. It's Granny and Nana put together. And Yeah, that's my title. That's what I go by. All the grandchildren. That's what I am. So the other grandmothers can be called anything they want to be called. Doesn't bother me because mine's totally made up and I like it. And a couple other grandmothers call themselves that too. You can go Google Granna, Granna. And there's a couple shirts out there that they like to wear and rock and stuff.
I just want to go on record and say, like, light years from now, obviously not tomorrow, but light years from now, when I am like an elderly person and my kids have kids and I'm like officially like in that age group, they can just call me Nana Reese. That's it. Keep it simple. That's it.
Nana Reese.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. She says that now. I had a bunch of different types of names. Remember, Resa? I had Glamour. I had Glamour.
Oh,
at one
yeah,
point.
you did that. Yeah, call me.
And I was like, yeah, but you and Nicole said, we don't like that one.
It didn't sound too.
It didn't sound like me. So this one sounds more like me, So it is what it is, But I'm looking forward to just rocking this little one and just being with her, because just holding her in the hospital was like breathtaking. I mean, she was in the NICU at first because she was born a little early, but we were like totally excited just to have a new addition to the family before the cold weather started.
Yeah, I will say, because I've never held like a newborn child before. So I was like, I was nervous, I'm not gonna lie. But when I held her, like, I felt like my whole life changed, because I was just like, listen, I don't have no kids right now, or excuse me, I don't have any kids right now presently. God willing, in the future, God, you hear me, whatever. But I don't know. It's just like, and maybe other parents can like attest to this. There's something about like holding a newborn baby that just makes you want to make everything like perfect. You want to make the world safe, like super safe, because you just want the best for this little human being coming into the world.
You're absolutely right. And we are looking so forward to being the village that helps, Eliana mature and grow and know more about her African-American culture, her Puerto Rican culture, and everything. We're just so excited about it. So we got to wrap things up anyway. We got to go pick up, her mom and Eliana for family dinner anyway. We got to go pick them up. But this was a great season 1. It was so great to see you again, Resa, on the podcast. How do you feel being back in the seat?
You know what? I actually missed sitting in the seat, to be honest, and, having the whole setup. So it was nice.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to some great words from men and women of God throughout the rest of the year. And we'll be going into the holidays together. So hopefully, we'll be able to, like, as the weather changes in New Jersey, it gets quite cold up here. We'll be able to give you guys bits and pieces of how we're doing up in the weather. And you guys can also, check us out on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, and let us know how you guys are doing too.
Yeah.
All right. So it's time to get out of here, Resa. Like I said, it's been a pleasure, like always, to be on the other side of the mic with you. And I'll see you next week. You guys have a great week.
Have a great week, you guys.
I've been trying to forget, but you won't let me. Something in my brain wants you. I've been hanging by myself, asking for help, but nothing seems to work on you.
With everything crazy, you're still my source of peace. You filter out the lows,
you always
give me what I need.
Feel like, you never leave my thoughts alone.
Disconnected, I feel the pressure, I need acceptance.